All right, so we're going to finish up here with our notes from yesterday. We've only got a couple of slides left, so this will actually be a pretty quick video. But we are going to finish up talking about the Tea Act and then eventually the Boston Tea Party. But when we finished off, we were talking about how Samuel Adams wanted to make sure that people didn't forget everything that the colonists were going through, so he formed the committees of correspondence. And one of the things that happened that really got the committees going in full force was the Tea Act. So Parliament passed the Tea Act in 1773, like we talked about. Basically, it was just so that the colonists knew that Parliament had power over them, and that really upset a lot of colonists. At the time, most of the tea was smuggled in from Holland, and it was really, really easy for them to smuggle this in. Well, with the Tea Act coming, all of the tea now had to come from the British East India Company, and that gave Britain total control of what was going on with the tea trade in America, because these boxes of tea would come in. They'd be marked British East India Company. They'd come in on British East India ships. So there was no way anymore for the colonists to smuggle in tea, and this made a lot of them really upset. And also they had to pay a tax on this new tea as well. So obviously we're going to find different protests breaking out across the nation on this tea, not just the Boston Tea Party itself, but other cities too, like Charleston, Charleston, South Carolina, New York City, Philadelphia. In Charleston, what they did is they just took the tea out, they unloaded it out on the docks and just let it rot there, because they figured we're not going to let anybody drink this stuff, and we're not going to pay any taxes on it either. And in New York City and Philadelphia, they actually would put the American ships would form a blockade, or they would block out these British ships from coming in, so they couldn't even get to the port to deliver the tea. And then in Boston, obviously, the Sons of Liberty organized what we know as the Boston Tea Party. Now, on the evening of December 16th, 1773, a bunch of men kind of met in secret, and they all knew to disguise themselves as Native Americans. What they did is they boarded 3 ships in Boston Harbor, where they got on board, and they destroyed 342 chests of tea. Some really thought that destroying the property, wasn't really the best way to get Britain's attention, but there were enough that decided this was what we wanted to do. And then I'm going to read right out of the book here, A Voice from the Past, from a guy named George Hughes. He was a Boston shoemaker. Here's what he says. "We then were ordered by our commander to open the hatches and take out all the chests of tea and throw them overboard. In about 3 hours from the time we went on board, we had thus broken and thrown overboard every tea chest to be found in the ship, while those in the other ships were disposing of tea in the same way at the same time." So like I said, at that time, Hugh and the other men involved destroyed 342 chests of tea total, which is pretty expensive. Some of the men even said, "You know what, we'll pay for this tea if Parliament will repeal this Tea Act," but Britain said no. Essentially what they wanted to do, the British, is they really wanted to make these American colonists pay for what they did. And they wanted to put the men responsible for this to trial. And the British reaction to the Boston Tea Party would even make these flames of rebellion grow even more. So where we went from Section 1 to where things were definitely not going well, to Section 2 where things got worse, Section 3 is going to get even more kind of crazy and off the wall. So at this point, this is the end. I want you to now start working on the guided reading as well as the quiz. It'll be double-sided. And then when you're finished, go ahead and watch Student News. And we'll see you on Monday.